I'm so happy to see everybody. This is really exciting. Classes start next week. So if you're level 1, your class will meet on Tuesday at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. If you're level 2, your class will meet on Wednesday, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. If you are Prep 1, you meet at 10 o'clock on Thursday Eastern Time. And if you are level 3, you meet at 3 o'clock on Thursday Eastern Time. The level 3 class is kind of different because it's always a smaller class. And so we actually do a combo online local class. So I have some students that are actually in the classroom and some students that are actually online. And we just sit around the table. It's kind of like one of those honors classes in college. And so we can all sit around and just talk and discuss our writing. It's really fun. So that's what one of your kids will be doing that this year. Jamie, Jack will. And then I haven't met Charlie yet, but he'll be in the local class, which is, I think he's on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. So thank you so much for making the time to do this. I'm going to try not to make this too long and drawn out. I know everybody is so busy with school at this time of year. And I don't know why. Oh, okay. All my names disappeared there for just a minute. So the first thing I wanted to find out was, I know all the level 2 and 3 people have done IEW before because you've done it with me. But what about the level 1 people? Who in here this will be their first experience with IEW? Anybody? Oh, okay. Oh, Monica. Okay. Yay. Is there anybody else? Sometimes I have trouble seeing all this stuff on. Okay. So that's great. And Monica, I really appreciate you making an extra special effort. I know you had another meeting already before this, so thank you. So everybody in here then has done keyword outlining before, is that right? Is there anybody? I know the moms in level 2 and level 3 have, so you dads, if you don't even know, yeah, your wife already knows how to do that. Hi, Laura, I'm glad you could join us. So there is not only mom then that hasn't had an experience with IEW before? Okay, so we're going to do some keyword outlining after class if you want, after the meeting, at the end of the meeting. So if you don't, if you haven't ever done keyword outlining before, or if you feel like you need a refresher, because I'm getting some feedback. Usually that's somebody's headset or something like that. I don't know what that's from. If you haven't ever done keyword outlining before, or you need a refresher, then you can stick around and join us after the meeting so you can learn how to do that, because keyword outlining is the foundational skill that all writing in IEW classes begins with. Even when your students get to level 3, they still have to do keyword outlining, but it changes. It becomes more, it adjusts depending on the different types of writing that we do. So it's super important. And Monica and Nikki, that's something that we just work on the entire year, just basic keyword outlining in Prep 1, along with our poetry and along with our literature. So those Prep 1 students get really, really good at doing keyword outlining. And Grayson is probably just going to be a whiz in level 1, Andrew, because he was really good in Prep 1 doing his keyword outlining. So most of you probably know then about the origins of IEW, and I don't want to belabor that, but what I want you to know is that I am totally committed to IEW. I think it is the most wonderful writing method in the world. It never fails to produce outstanding results for students. And I'm just looking around and trying to see, I can't remember if anybody here has done has gone all the way through yet. No, I think not yet. So you're going to be really happy with the results that you get from IEW. And I can say that because I didn't think it up. Sometimes, and I just had this question today, why I do my own handbooks and my own assignments and all that. When I started teaching IEW to my own children 22 years ago, there were no extra products made by IEW. There was a nice page at the end of the end of the notebook that said, "You can do this," and it had a lot of handy ideas about how you could implement IEW. And I don't know why I was so committed to it, because it was not easy, but I just knew that it was the right thing to do. And so I started making my own things way back then. And then other people wanted me to start teaching their kids. And this says by the time they did have a lot of extra stuff that I could actually buy, I was already doing my own thing. And IEW does actually review all of my lesson plans and my students' writing every year, every 2 years. And I just got reaccredited, I'm happy to say. And so they know what I'm doing. I'm not some renegade out there. But I really do love it. And every year I come up with some new things that I think, oh, this is going to help make things more understandable and easier, which is what I want. Writing can be learned by everybody. I haven't had a chance to look at ThinkWave in the last several days because I've been preoccupied with doing the local parents meeting. And it's so nice to be able to send the handbooks to you guys. But when I do my local meeting here, I'm hauling boxes of all kinds of stuff to the church where I have the meeting. So it's a real operation here. So I haven't looked at ThinkWave, but I hope by now everyone has already uploaded their student has uploaded their writing plan and committed to when they're going to do their writing every day. And the reason I do that is because last year I read James Clear's Atomic Habits. It was a really great thing for me and really just emphasized the importance of actually making habits as a part of success. And so then I heard him discussing with two other people, the minimalist, about the importance of writing every day if you're a writer. And so I really became convinced of that. Now, I have also made a commitment, and I did it last year too, that I'm going to work on my grading at a certain time every day when it's not on school days, which is 10 to 12. And it worked pretty well last year. I made some real progress in that. And grading is, I love reading the students' papers. Grading is not fun. It's hard work. But if I didn't grade the papers, soon I wouldn't like reading the papers, right? Because it's, that process of going back and forth and improving that makes the papers so enjoyable for me. And so I am committed to doing their grading at a particular time every day. And even, I know a number of you were from last year. I know from talking to the students that sometimes that really worked well and sometimes it didn't. But as with my grading, if it didn't work, that I was supposed to do grading a particular time and I didn't do it, I still had in the back of my mind, I have to get that done. And I wasn't waiting till it was convenient or I felt like it or the time magically presented itself or something like that. So those of you whose students did do classes with me last year, do you have any comments on how just the thought of having a writing time worked for you? Anybody that wants to comment on that? No? Okay.
I thought it was a good idea. I thought it was very helpful.
Okay. And Ryan was a serious, he really did great work last year. And okay, my hat's off to the editors because I know the editors have a lot to do with that. But his papers were always really good to read. And I know that things were really busy for y'all last year. So I was impressed. Okay. So even if your student does not always make it that particular time, that should be the goal, okay? You want the brain to begin to think, oh, it's 10 o'clock, or, oh, it's whatever time it is you picked. I should be doing writing. If they feel a little guilty if they're not, well, that's good, all right? If they're just fooling around playing video games and they're feeling guilty, well, they should go do their writing. It's not going to hurt them to feel a little guilty, okay? So that's what I wanted to say about that. As far as the importance of writing, I have a lot to say about that. And I'm sorry that Megan Robinson can't be here tonight. They are out of the country because I had a special session with John Shaw Robinson last year. And he explained some things to me that I'll tell you about in just a minute. But the number one complaint, I've read a lot of these surveys, and over the past however many years, the number one complaint of employers in trying to find employees is, guess what? Anybody want to guess?
Can't write.
Yeah, can't write. They cannot communicate clearly. They don't know how to do it. They don't know how to organize their thoughts. They don't know how to express themselves clearly in a, we talk about when we talk about conventions of the English language, they don't know how to do it. And not only that, mostly if they can't write very well, they also can't communicate orally very well. You know, one follows the other. And so I never want that to be the case for any of my students, and it never will be, because one thing IEW does is it just regularly, like clockwork, just trains them in these structure and style skills. So they should always be very well placed as far as their communication goes. Never mind about college. I mean, college, of course, is important, but we're looking ahead to real life, okay? And so it's super important. So just because there's AI doesn't mean they don't have to write, okay? And let's see. Oh, I need to set a chime to go off when somebody tries to join. So I had a conversation with John Shaw, like I was telling you just a few minutes ago, and he is going to do level 2 this year. He needed some help with his MLA formatting, which is a big deal, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But so I can do screen share, so I was telling him what to do to get his formatting correct. And then he said, now I want to show you something. And I was like, okay. And so he brought up ChatGPT. And I can't remember what the first thing he said. This is ChatGPT, and you can ask it any question and it will write you an answer. And I was like, okay. I'd sort of heard of AI, but I didn't really think it had anything to do with me, so I hadn't paid any attention to it. And so he did. He asked it something. I don't remember what it was, and it just sort of started spitting out all this stuff. And I was kind of astonished. And then he did several things like that. And then I said, well, what about your paper? He was writing a paper on The Hobbit. I said, what about your paper? Oh, what happened just now? I'm getting feedback. He said, oh, I'll tell it to write a poem. So he typed in, write a poem about The Hobbit. And it did. It took maybe a minute or two before it started. It was terrible poetry, okay? If you know poetry at all, this is not something that would ever be famous, okay? But it had the whole idea of The Hobbit in there. And then I said, what about your paper that you're writing with The Hobbit? I said, copy and paste that into there and ask it to analyze your paper. So he did. And waited a minute or so. And then it started spitting out this analysis of the paper he had written about The Hobbit with all the literature words that he had included and everything. I was horrified and fascinated. Okay. So one thing that you've got to make sure you do, if you have, your student's going to be obviously working on the computer, it's your job to make sure that they're not, plagiarizing and that they're not using ChatGPT, because it will be caught. The tools are developing all the time, and they need to learn how to do it. And the work is, it's hard work learning to write. Even though IEW is like the best method ever, it's not a magic pill. They still have to learn the skills to do it. So they should not ever even do anything with AI, even just to get ideas. Okay. So I will be talking to them about that too. But here's the interesting thing. I had my local parents meeting the other night, and I have a dad who is a chemistry professor at one of our local universities. It's South Carolina in Aiken, University of South Carolina in Aiken. And after I talked about it at the parents' meeting, he came up to me afterwards and he said, I have my own AI story. And I said, really? And he said, yeah. He said, multiple choice tests are really a pain to format. And he said, so I went to ChatGPT and I said, format a test with 10 chemistry questions. And it was probably about some special subject. I don't know what it was. So he said, and it did. It spit out 10 questions. He said, now they weren't the greatest questions. They were a little shallow, but it spit it out in a nice format. It was all, multiple choice, and it gave the correct things for the multiple choice. And then he said, then I said, answer question number 1 and explain why it is the correct answer. And he said, it spit out this paragraph that was correct in grammar and all of that. He said, but it was the biggest bunch of, he said, first of all, they picked the wrong answer. And second, it was the biggest bunch of bunk that could possibly be said about that particular answer. So he said, even though it can do certain things, and of course it's learning all the time, right? He said, you can't rely on AI to do your work for you. I also talked to a lady that works with Microsoft. Well, she did for 10 years. Now she's a private consultant. And we were talking about this. I'm going to actually interview her and put an interview on my website. But she said that the level of interview that she has to do when she's trying to help these people come up with whatever it is she consults with them about. She said there's no way that ChatGPT can, or any AI can do that for you. She said the level of knowledge you have to ask to even know what to interview them on and how to analyze that. She said, if you can't do that yourself, AI isn't going to be able to help you with that. Okay. So that's all just to say employers want employees who can actually communicate, and AI can't do it for them. All right. So there's 2 good reasons to really learn how to write and to get good at it. Okay. So that makes me happy that there's actually some good reasons to do it besides this is school. Okay. So your main job as the editor is to make sure that your student stays on track. And those of you that have done level 1 already, maybe even level 2 already, know what I'm talking about. This is why I've given everybody their own copy of the handbook. First of all, I don't want you to have to run around looking for somebody's stuff and they don't know where it is. And that way you can stay up on what your student's supposed to do. So yes, I do want you to read over their stuff and follow the directions where I tell you to check their work and all that. Catch what you can, know what you're supposed to be looking for. But your main job is to make sure that they do the daily writing. because the daily is what is going to make them grow as a writer. It's daily practice, just like with piano, just like with soccer. You can't replace that daily practice as far as actual skill development. It changes their brains. It creates new chemical pathways in their brains. And so that's your job. Your main job as editor. Don't let them get behind. If they get behind, you're going to hate your life. Okay? Never mind the students. You're going to hate your life if they get behind. I can remember nights when my own kids brought me papers at like 11 o'clock. I've got to have you edit this. We got class tomorrow. I just want to sit down on the floor and cry. Okay? So learn from me. Don't do that. So that's your main job as editor. And then you'll see in the handbook the other things. Don't worry if you're not really great speller. Don't worry if you're not really great at grammar. Your main job is to make sure your student stays on track. And besides y'all, it's fun and easy to catch other people's mistakes. Okay? It's really hard to catch your own mistakes. So really what you're doing as the editor is, you don't know what they meant. You don't know where they were going with the sentence. So if you read it and it doesn't make sense, you go, I think you left something out here, or this doesn't make any sense, or I don't want you to nitpick. I don't want you to, and they're going to have to work with tools, these writing skills, and it's going to be awkward sometimes. Okay. So if you think it's just really terrible, correct the grammar, help them correct the grammar, help them correct the spelling, but pick one sentence in a paragraph that you can help them make better. Okay. Other than that, just make sure they did everything on the checklist. All right. Doesn't have to be the best paper that was ever written on that subject. Right. It just has to be, they have to just do the things day in and day out. Okay. I will mark grammar mistakes. I will mark spelling mistakes. I don't take off for them. I don't take off for spelling. I don't take off for grammar unless it has to do with a particular style thing that we're working on. And I was berated by my youngest child, who was, of all people, had no business saying it, but he said it to one of my level 2 classes. I know my mother doesn't count off on your grammar, but she should. That's after he took a writing class. Okay. But I don't count off for the grammar unless it is specifically related to the style thing that we're working on. Okay. But I'll mark it because I want them to start learning it, because, other people will later. Okay. So that's your job. So the main thing I want you to, what we need to go over right now is, y'all probably have already had a chance to look at the handbooks, but I just want to show everybody the page that is the pre-class assignment. And on page, let's see, for the Prep 1 people, your pre-class assignment page is on page 109 in the Preparing the Foundation book. So if you have your sticky tabs or something, just mark that page with something so you'll know that that's what they're supposed to do before class. Okay. These are not actual writing assignments. These are just getting familiar with the handbook and stuff like that. Okay. Poetry, that little flash drive that I sent in the package has the poem recordings on it. They can go ahead and start listening to that. I didn't put that on the list, but they could. They can just start listening to the poems and enjoying them, because we'll start working on those in class the first day. Let's see. Level 1 people. Your pre-class assignment is on page 196. So you can just put some kind of marker on that. And mainly it talks about doing that writing plan, and then also familiarizing yourself with the handbook. Oh, editors will not have anything to edit before the first class, okay? That doesn't start till we have our first class. But the level 3 people will need to, we'll talk about level 3 in a minute. So no actual writing will happen, okay? Just make sure you read this and do what it says, okay? The writing plan is really formulated not just for them to choose a time, but also to start getting in their head the whole concept of MLA formatting, which is how that page is formatted, okay? Level 2 people are special. We get 2 handbooks. This is the first essay that we do in level 2. This is near and dear to my heart. It's called Planning for Success, and it takes up the first 6 weeks of writing class. Okay, so your student probably has already started reading the articles, and I don't think I told them the keyword outline it. I think we do that in the first class. That is on page 3, the pre-class assignment, and they have quite a bit more to do than the level 1 people, so they should get started on it. If they haven't started on it yet. I know some level 2 people here probably already started on. Y'all have any questions about any of that for the pre-class assignment? Because it's kind of a lot for level 2. Anybody want to ask anything about that? No? Okay. All right. So this is the main handbook for level 2, and it'll tell them on page 3 of this one to read some of these pages. Mostly it's just stuff that we've discussed before from last year, okay? But once we finish with Planning for Success, they can put that away. I'd save it just as proof for the work that they did. But they won't, after we finish that first essay, they won't be using this again for the rest of the year, okay? And then level 3 people are also special. Their pre-class assignment is on page 228, and it looks really long because it goes all the way to page 230, but it really is mainly just reading through some stuff in the handbook and then conferring with their editor about the subject for their Great Idea Gone Wrong essay, okay? This is a paper that we work on off and on throughout the year. It's a super essay. It has 3 parts: the history of the great idea, the positives of the great idea, and the negatives of the great idea. And so they need to decide either on something that's listed in my handbook, or if y'all come up with something different, then you can email me and ask me, because not everything works really well for the Great Idea Gone Wrong essay. The basic idea of it is that some ideas look really good on paper, but then when you try to actually do them, they're not so great. Like, for instance, communism, okay? Looks really good on paper, okay? But it doesn't work out so well in real life. So that's the main thing the level 3 people have to decide on, because that's a big deal and you'll be working on that all year. In parts, though. That's not all we do in level 3. That's just 3 of their 11 essays that they do. And then at the end, it's all put together. It's so amazing how that works. And that wasn't my idea, so I can say how amazing it is. Okay. So that's another Andrew Pudewa idea. And I just love it. I just wish somebody had told me that when I was in school. Would have made writing so much easier. Okay. So those are the things we need to talk about, and just make sure they get done before class. Has everybody, I guess everybody's figured out ThinkWave at this point. I think everybody's gotten signed up for ThinkWave. ThinkWave can be a huge pain when you're first trying to get signed up for it. It always happens to somebody every year, but it always gets settled, and it's really wonderful because I will be putting their grades and their comments on ThinkWave, and I'll let you know when their grades and comments and their uploaded papers are ready so that you can review them, and then you can implement any changes in the next assignment that you're already going to be working on at that time, okay? And And also, it makes wonderful reports at the end of the year. I can send these beautiful reports, and everything is nicely organized, and you can save them for your transcript. I send them by PDF. So I really love ThinkWave. It makes life easier for a lot of people. I'll say this about ThinkWave. There's a messaging app on each student's page. Don't use it. Because I don't get notified when I get them unless I happen to be on ThinkWave and I happen to notice there's this tiny little number up next to my name. Okay. So if they send me a message, they really need to know something. Unless I happen to be on ThinkWave, I probably am not going to see it. Okay. So if they need to ask me a question, or you need to ask me a question, email me, or if it's short and easy, just text me. Okay. I love texting, and I see text quicker than I do emails usually. But if it's a super long text, a super long question that's hard to answer, you can email me or just send me a text and say, I sent you an email about this question, and then I'll go check your email and I'll probably write a really long answer to it. I type faster than I text, but I am happy to text short answers. Okay. Yes, Deborah.
I was curious because Ryan does not have a smartphone yet. So with his co-op, there's a way, and y'all probably know this, that you can send a text from your email if you know the person's provider. So I don't know if y'all have ever heard of that, but he can't text without doing that. He can do it through his email, but I have to know who your provider is, Verizon or AT&T.
It's actually Pure Talk. I don't know if that helps. Pure Talk. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
I'll have to find
That's
out.
it's really techie. I'm not very techie, y'all. You might be confused and think that I am, but my parameters of techiness are very narrow. It takes me a long time to figure stuff out, and what I know is the stuff that I'm telling you. Thanks, Deborah. We'll get him to do a test one so we can make sure it works, okay? So yeah, we use Pure Talk. So if anybody needs to try to do that, that's fine. But seriously, you can send me an email. I mean, I am on my email every day with rare exception. It's just that I hear my texts go off and I don't hear emails go off. So, okay. All right, let's see. Another thing that I want you to know is, so don't message me. When I put comments on ThinkWave, I think they might show up as messages. Does anybody know that for sure? Because I'm not sure. Do you know that, Deborah? Do my comments show up as messages, or I guess you just have to click on the assignment to read them? You don't know? Does anybody else know? I don't know. I think you have to click on the actual assignment to be able to see it, but it doesn't work very well in reverse. So when I send emails, I send class emails from ThinkWave, and it goes to everybody in the class and their parents. Have all the parents in here been getting ThinkWave emails? The things that I've sent through ThinkWave? I had somebody tell me in the local class that for some reason their kids get the ThinkWave emails, but they're not coming to their class. You have, Monica? Okay. So if you personally aren't getting the class emails that I send and your student is, please let me know. I really like doing it on ThinkWave because it keeps me from losing stuff. Please have your students get their homework uploaded before class. Sometimes we look at the actual papers in class, and when they, I like to have the students read. Usually with level 1, I don't start them out with reading like entire papers because it's a little intimidating. I'll have them read one sentence that shows the style thing that they are working on, or I'll have them read, later on, I'll have them read one paragraph. But I want them to have their work available where they can find it, whether that means it's on the computer or a printed copy. Okay. So they should bring that to class with them along with their handbook always. and their notebook for writing down things and a pen. Make sure their computer is plugged up. Check and make sure they're getting good connection in whatever room it is. And I realized this today, if somebody's sitting in front of a window, I've realized this before, but I've always forgotten to say, somebody's sitting in front of a window, even if it's just got some light coming through the blinds, they'll be in silhouette. Nobody will be able to see them. So try to position them so that they're not sitting right in front of a window. Now, Andrew has got a window sort of to the side. It doesn't seem to be affecting anything. And Kaya has a window off to the side. And so we're getting good view there. But if somebody's positioned right in front of a window, that really does cause some problems. Okay. So I do have recordings for all of the classes on level 1, except for maybe a couple of them. I've got to edit those and get them posted. But in the event that you have to miss a class, which would be better not to, having a recording the recording is there for you, and they would need to watch the class. I'm sorry to say it's not riveting television. So I'd like to not have to watch the video if possible. Okay. But they're more fun than they used to be, because now I record them on Zoom so they can see all the other people, not just me talking and talking. and the students really do participate well. Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Heather. Have their work where they can share it, either by reading it off the computer screen or printing a copy. Printing a copy is easier, then they're just not having to click around and stuff, okay? Because everybody will usually share something, even if it's just one sentence, all right? We always have students that talk more than other students, but I do try to make sure that everybody gets to participate. And let's see, Ryan was always really good about participating. Catalina was always really good about participating. Jess, you're the younger one. What was his name? What's his name?
Jacob.
Jacob. Jacob was such a good sport. We did all these funny style things at the beginning of the year, and Jacob was the subject of them, and he just tolerated that really well. So I do try to pull everybody in and let everybody have a chance to participate. And usually right at first, everybody's a little frozen, but they'll get over it, and they'll get to be friends with each other. So it's fun. We do have a good time. You might be looking at the stuff, level 1 people, and going, oh man, this sounds like, oh. But we have a good time. And the students usually end up enjoying it. Even people that just don't like writing at all, like John Shaw, the one that showed me about AI, he made it known right away that he was a big participant, that he just didn't like to write. And he wished he didn't have to, but he was a good sport. But even John Shaw enjoyed going to the class if he didn't enjoy the work. And he, the composition book to take notes. That's right. Thank you, Monica. So they will probably have a good time in class, even if they don't love writing. And that camaraderie will develop, and it'll help a lot. So, and then by the end of the year, they'll be really proud of what they can do. So, okay, let me tell you some things that you got to prepare for. So level 1 people, I'll tell you in the handbook when this is coming up, but you can start thinking about it now. And I have a really nice page in the handbook this year. I finally put it in the handbook. But if you look at page, let's see. If you look at page 30 in the level 1 handbook, I have a page about choosing report a research report subject and your topics and sources with some ideas about things that make a good research report. And I have Catalina's thing in here. Redka. She did Mozart, and I actually have her Mozart report in the handbook this year. I need to let her know. So Mozart, early life, music career, works in musical style. That was a really good way of talking about a person. And then the level 2 people will need to be thinking about what they want to do for their research report, because when we get done with planning for success, then they will actually start working on a research essay. And that page is also in the handbook. And this is, oh yeah, wait a minute, where is that? I know I added it. Choosing your, oh, sorry, y'all. I thought I knew things were. Oh, this is on page 52 of the big handbook for level 2. And this is about choosing your research essay, subject, topics, and sources. So you can go ahead and sort of think about that ahead of time. One of the students in level 2 last year did benefits of mountain biking, and he did physical health benefits, mental health benefits, and community and social benefits. That was great. So those are just some ideas. These are by no means comprehensive, the types of subjects you can do. But these are significant papers, and they need to be on significant subjects, not like your favorite actor or something like that. Okay. Let's see, level 3, we've already talked about. They are going to be planning for their great idea gone wrong essay. And I do want to show everybody one new thing that I've done this year for the first time. So level 2 and level 3 people don't know this yet either, but I'm sure you've probably seen it. Lots of times people have a lot of trouble with MLA formatting, and MLA is the standard when it comes to language arts classes in college and high school. And so the humanities in general in college use MLA formatting, and it can be a pain, but we start learning the formatting at the beginning in level 1, and then we add works cited page in level 1 when we finish our research report. In level 2, we add in-text citations. And so these little see-through papers are for when you get your paper printed up, so you can actually lay it on the paper and we can tell whether your formatting is correct. And I have a video online about how to do the formatting. It's not great television, but it's helpful. Deborah, this is the first page. I used this the other night for the local people. This is the first page of Ryan's Eskimo paper. So I just printed up the first page of that for everybody and had them lay their paper on it. So this should be a big help to people. I'm a real visual person. I need colors and I need pictures of things. So I hope that this will help, because MLA can really just be really aggravating. And so I hope this is going to be something that's going to be a game changer for people that have struggled with it. And we will get it. So don't worry about that, but it can be a pain. Okay. So I think that is all of the main stuff that I need to talk about. It might seem, and I know level 2 and level 3 people know this, you know, when you look at all this stuff that you have to do, it seems like it might be overwhelming, but we do go step by step, and you will learn it as you go. You'll learn the writing stuff as you go. You'll learn all of the ways that I tell the kids to do things as you go. We don't just pile everything on right at the beginning. It's a very step-by-step process. If you ever have problems that you're having trouble with your student and you're pulling your hair out, I don't want you to suffer in silence, okay? I've had so many students, I think maybe over 500 by now. And I've probably, I keep a log, I just haven't looked at it lately. I have had probably every single thing, that a student could need help with over all those years. And a lot of them were with my students, my own kids, And so all this stuff that I'm telling you about is stuff that I actually tried out on my own kids and was really, really, really smart. And he was the one that gave me the most trouble. And as far as doing homework, and another one had a terribly hard time in school, and he turned out to be a fine writer too. And my daughter she was just one of those take your vitamins kind of girls, and she just kind of, just did the things, and she turned out fine too. And she said, I'm not going to be a writer. I'm going to be an artist. Well, she did graphic design. And when she went for her first interview, they handed her a name of a business and a little bit of information about it and told her to design a flyer for it, a graphic for it, and to write up a paragraph that made people want to go there. She was like, oh my goodness, I haven't done this in so long. But she did it, and she ended up teaching some classes there at that business, some writing classes. And so that's the person who was like, yeah, I'm not going to ever have to do this. So, so that really made me happy. So I've had all different kinds of kids, my own kids plus other kids. I even got a kid as a wife from one of my writing classes for my youngest son. So, and she had a terribly hard time with writing, but she did fine in her college writing. They loved her writing. She worked hard, and she turned out just fine. So I don't want anybody suffering. If you have a problem, let me know. If your child is taking all day long to do a keyword outline and rolling around going, it takes too long, it's too hard, please get in touch with me, okay? We will problem solve. All right. Now, I know you people that have already been in class for a while might be thinking of something that happened last year and you want to know something about it, or something has come up already. So what questions do you all have that I could help you with? Or maybe you'd like to say something that you think might be a help to somebody else. I remember last year, Brandy Granke was, okay, I'll ask you in just a minute, Monica. She actually chimed in when somebody was really nervous about level 2 and about abstract thinking. And that was very helpful for that mother. And it turned out to be just like Brandy said. So that was helpful. Monica, what would you like to say or ask?
Hello. Thank you so much for the presentation. I'm not sure if I'm the only Prep 1 parent on here, but I remember you mentioning something about MLA and a piece of paper. Is that applicable to Prep 1 students, or that's not where we are right now?
No, you get a whole nother year before you have to worry about that.
Okay. All right,
that's Nikki. Sure. Nikki, raise your hand so y'all can see each other. So I have 2 Prep 1 students this year. So I have, it's Vance, right? Lincoln is the level 1 student. Okay. Yes. So we have Vance, and we have, I'm sorry, my mind is just, hold on just a second. Do you say her name Kaysa or Kasia?
Kaysa.
Kaysa. Okay, that was one question I wanted to ask you. Kaysa. So we have Kaysa and Vance in Prep 1, and if y'all can round up any other people that would like to do Prep 1. I can take Prep 1 people all the way up until Christmas. Because Prep 1 is one of those classes that, unlike the rest of the classes, we're kind of like doing the same things, and the students kind of move at their own pace with the poetry, and you can just jump right in wherever you are with the keyword outlining, because it's all different stuff for keyword outlining, but it doesn't change. The type of it doesn't change. So, all right, Kaya.
So I have a question. I have some kids so you'll have 4 of my kiddos this year.
Yes, y'all, she got the most kids in writing class this year.
So I'm a little overwhelmed, but some of my kids have Chromebooks and some of them have laptops. And so I kind of have their computers open right now trying to figure this out. They don't have Word, but it'll let me edit the first pre-assignment. So that'll be okay. And then they'll be able to send it and stuff. But now for writing a paper, it looks like it's just like an edit Word. And I couldn't get the Open Office on the Chromebooks, but I could on the laptop.
Oh, okay. Well, I know that I actually had to install Open Office last year because Jess, your guys were using it. And so I know how to use it. It's a little bit different from Word, but as long as you've got, they can let me say this for level 1 people. They can handwrite their rough drafts. They have to put their final drafts in Word. So some kids like to handwrite, and it's really actually better apparently for your brain to handwrite. You learn more when you handwrite, but at this point in my life, I kind of think through my fingertips on the keyboard. But if your student has any willingness to actually handwrite the rough drafts, that's fine. So I don't know if that might help y'all, Kaya, if they handwrote and put their papers on.
I'm just wondering on these computers that I'm not able to download the Open Office, what we're going to do, because it looks like the Word that we have, I had to hit something that said edit only. So the first assignment, it's letting, like, I can go and I can delete something, and I'm just wondering how that's going to work.
So you can't type it up on Word? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not sure if I can actually like create a new document on this. It must be a free version or something. I don't know.
You might be able to like type it up in Google Docs and then like paste it.
I bet I could do that.
Maybe paste it into Word, or either paste it into Open Office so that they don't all have to be using the same. Just try it. I mean, the formatting could get messed up, but they can fix the formatting. In college, they don't have people turning things in on Google Docs, because Google Docs really is just a link. It's not an actual document. And when they turn in papers in college, they have to turn it in on it's a program, and it's called Turnitin. And it actually goes through and it actually looks to see if they plagiarized, and it'll give the professor a percentage of how original it is. And so they actually do have to have, documents, not Google Docs.
Okay.
Usually colleges provide them with their own copy of Word though. So at least that's how they've been in the past. I'm not sure I think that's probably what's still going on. The main thing is, let me just say this one more time. It's really, really important that you keep up to date with what your student's supposed to be doing. And when you get emails from me saying it's time to check grades and comments, make sure you do that so that you can help your student fix whatever it is for the next time. Okay? That's your main job as editor. All right? Anything else? And you can always email me after the meeting if you think of something you wanted to ask me, or just feel free to email me anytime. Okay.
I have one question.
Yes, Deanna.
So for level 1, for them to be prepared for that class when it starts. So is it just what the pre-work was, that assignment?
Yes.
On page 196?
They have the writing thing that's on the ThinkWave. They have the writing plan they have to do. And it also has another document on there that says writer in training that I set on ThinkWave for you both to read. I didn't have that. I had not written that when I did the handbook. So it doesn't say to read that, but it does say it on ThinkWave. And that just explains why I'm having them to do this. And also just the importance of choosing the place where you're going to do it and how you can make your writing more effective, not playing around on your phone while you're doing your writing and not listening to songs and watching videos while you're doing your writing, stuff like that. That's all in the writer in training document. So y'all make sure you read that. That's something new that I did. I'm always coming up with the new stuff. So I'll try to let you know when I do something new. But I always try to think of things that are going to make things more understandable for people. And then I make something new, or new video or something like that. So, does that answer your question, Deanna? Yeah. So read that page, then look on ThinkWave, find that writer and training thing if y'all haven't read that yet. And I think that's all for level 1. Yeah. Do you have a question?
How do I email out of ThinkWave?
You can't email. You can't email ThinkWave.
Okay, so is just
I
reply
can
to
email. I can email from ThinkWave, but you can't.
Okay, so I should email her through her Gmail then.
You
go
can.
into her.
When I send it's always going to be there on ThinkWave. You can always go and look at the messages. They stay there for the entire year.
Okay.
But when I hit the email button, it actually emails, or it's supposed to, the message to everybody's listed email. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so if I want to email you her email, what address should I be emailing to?
Oh, the one we've been using. All right, let's see. Was there another question?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Zoe and I had read the, I don't remember what it was called, but the extra bit of homework that you had added after the initial homework that was posted, but I didn't see a way of acknowledging that we had done it.
Oh, that's okay. I just want to make sure you read it, and also then go back and read what's in the handbook too. Okay, well, I guess I'll see the level 1 people 10 o'clock Eastern time on Tuesday coming up. I hope everybody has a great Labor Day weekend. And if you come up with anything else you need to ask me, lots of times when somebody needs to know an answer to a question, other people also need to know it. So sometimes I will actually send it out as a question and answer. So make sure that you email me and let me know, because if you're wondering about it, somebody else probably is too. Okay. And I try to think of everything, but I don't. And I don't have an editor either. So if you see a mistake, please let me know. Somebody, I think it was Deanna, noticed that it said August 29th. You know what I did? I took the email for the local people and I copied and pasted it, and I changed everything except the subject. No, I did forward. That's what I did. So thank you, Deanna, for catching that. All right. Anybody else? These have been very good questions. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you dads showing up. So thank you very much for coming. I know this is a really busy time of the school year for moms, especially. There's just meetings every which way. And so thank y'all for making the time to do this. And if we don't have any more questions right now, then I'm going to let you go.